Well, hello everyone and welcome to another One Piece review. This time we're talking about episodes 45 to 47. So we are finally onto stuff that I have never seen before for the most part, okay? There are a few things where I'm like, oh yeah, this is familiar or whatever, but oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be going forward. But for a brief recap, if it's been a long time since you've seen One Piece, last time we ended Arlong Park, and this time we have Luffy's bounty that is announced, I guess decided and officially announced and distributed. And then we return to a bunch of old places to see their reactions to things, and then we spend 2 episodes catching up with Buggy, basically. So for context, Mill the Killer, who's like someone who is a big One Piece fan and sometimes messages me stuff about it, he let me know a few things about this set of episodes. So I know that this Buggy stuff is apparently in the manga. At the beginning of particular chapters or volumes or something like that, they would have like a side story of like what's going on with Buggy. So that makes sense, I guess, why these are like kind of being incorporated here, because they are canon and I assume they're gonna like, you know, fall into the rest of the story. So anyway, I know all that. But anyway, my overall thoughts, this is... I think the stuff with Luffy and like the crew, obviously, I think all that stuff is great. And I was, oh my goodness, I was so like, I was pausing and rewinding and reading dialogue and I took screenshots of certain things and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's like so much information here. So I thought that was really cool. I liked all that stuff. That was really good. The Buggy stuff is like, it's perfectly fine. I don't know. I didn't really, it was like mostly just comedy stuff and I don't know, comedy can be good sometimes, bad sometimes. This was just fine. I don't know. There's some crazy stuff that happens there, but for the most part, it's fine. So my notes are mainly about the main stuff and then I have like a little bit of stuff on the Buggy stuff, but yeah. So on this main stuff with Luffy and I don't think they've even said it at this point yet, but I'm pretty sure they call it the Straw Hats. Like that's like a thing that I've heard people use before. So I'm just gonna call them the Straw Hats. I think I've done that in the past already, but oh my goodness, Nami is buying the news. And immediately we hear about like, apparently there's just like random wars and like civil unrest going on every now and then, which is very funny. They specifically say, oh my God, another coup in Villa, which I don't know what Villa is. I don't know if that's somewhere we've been and I've just forgotten, but oh my goodness, there's discord around the world in One Piece. I guess it makes sense. There are pirates everywhere. There are Marines. Obviously, there's like the Grand Line. I'm sure there's a bunch of shenanigans going on there. But I don't know, there's small things like this where I'm like, oh, this is cool. I wonder if we'll see Villa one day. Probably not. I don't know. It's probably just like a throwaway name of like something that's going on. But yeah, anyway. But then the first and probably most substantial scene in this episode is basically seeing some of the, what I can assume to be like higher ups, I guess, in terms of the Navy. At least that's the way they're portrayed. Now, maybe they might be someone like really low down and these aren't really like important people or anything, but the way they come across is that, oh my goodness, they're so serious and so important and they're determining bounties and oh my goodness. Just the, like... I love in this scene, it is such a departure from the tone of the rest of the show so far, which is, it's incredibly serious. And like, I don't know, I'm sure we've heard this music before. I'm not very good at like keeping track of like when a song is played for the first time or if it's like a variation of it or something, but whatever song it is that's playing at the beginning of like when we first see the Marines in this episode, or the Navy, I guess specifically, I think it's like a distinction, right? I'm guessing, because the subtitle said like Navy for when we actually see the people, and then when we go outside and see the rest of the Marines, we see the Marines. So anyway, what I was saying is that the music is so good. Oh my goodness, it's like so like serious, and they're all sitting there with their like arms folded and like looking the same, like looking into the aisle, and oh my goodness, they was so good. Now, in terms of like the actual characters there, I'm sure, I'm not certain actually, but I would assume that we're probably going to see, you know, at least one of these people again. Now, maybe not, but there were 3 that stood out to me. I think probably like intentionally so, but maybe not. Maybe they just could be like, you know, one of the many designs that are in the One Piece world. All the characters do look very different in One Piece. You know, there's no like reused designs very often or anything like that, except for all the women who look very similar. But that's okay, you know, they all look different in their own way. We love that. But there's 3 people. There's the first guy we see, and we get like a full like shot of his face, like an extreme close-up, and we don't get that for anyone else, which is the guy with the glasses and the scar like across his face. So he's interesting. I don't know, I'll keep track of if we see him again, but that was kind of interesting. And we get the guy with the purple suit and the like crazy big like mustache, and like I'm sure we'll see him again, but maybe not. But you know, he stood out to me. And then we got the guy with the green hair and then the scar across his eye. These are the people where I'm like, oh, these are like people here, you know, they got designs and they're interesting and memorable, and maybe I'll see them again one day. So yeah. But beyond this, Luffy's bounty is announced here, and oh my goodness, it's 30 million. So it's more than Arlong, it's more than, I guess, everyone we've seen so far. It is the biggest bounty that we've seen to date. It's worth less than a Devil Fruit, which is I think 100 million, right? It's worth approximately 4 Higumas, or almost 4 Higumas, which is kind of awesome, and it's exciting, you know, what can I say? You know, we have numbers here for Luffy. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We also got a bunch more information about, like, bounties themselves. First, we learned, like, we got some actual in-story power scaling for Higuma, which is awesome. Like, I've been waiting for this, which is that we learned that in the East Blue, the average bounty is around 3 million, which means that Higuma is, like, not necessarily, like, too crazy. Like, and when I say too crazy, I mean like Higuma was not necessarily boasting that much, you know, like he truly is worth quite a lot, at least compared to the average kind of pirate or the pirate with a bounty on the East Blue. He's worth like almost triple the average bounty. So, oh my goodness, we love Higuma now, you know, and we have a good baseline for how powerful he is, and also a good baseline for how powerful like Luffy is in terms of like the fear of the Navy for this person. But what we also learn is that Luffy's bounty is extremely high, but they try and justify it by saying that we've learned that maybe it's important at this point to kind of wipe out these people early by setting a higher than probably what they probably deserve kind of bounty, so that we don't have to deal with them later when they become stronger and all that. So, I don't know, it was kind of cool. I liked all this stuff. We also learned that Arlong was 20 million, we learned Don Krieg was 17 million, and we learned that Buggy was 15 million. So, interesting. So I've written this all down. One day I can refer to this if I need be, or I need to. But yeah. Then after this scene with the Navy, which I loved, and it was great, I guess we also get like another scene, sorry, on top of this, which I didn't talk about, which is that someone like, I think it's like a separate location as well, but it might just be the same location directed in like a weird way that I couldn't tell. But one of the higher ups, I guess, in the Navy or the Marines, I can't really tell. He shows up and he goes outside this building and there's like a bunch of Marines out there and he gives them instruction. It doesn't really give them instructions. He says like, the Navy is this, you know, if you want to back away now, whatever. I don't have any context for what this is, but it looked cool. It was like continuing the serious tone of like what's happening with the Navy and all that. So I don't know, it was kind of cool. I don't have really much to say about it except for saying, man, I liked it. But then we get to basically travel around the world and see all the places that Luffy has touched, and we get to see their reactions to finding out about his bounty. So this is a scene I've seen in the live action. I remember liking it in the live action. Here it was great as well. Man, firstly, we see Kaya, and oh my god, she's got a desk and she's working and she's wearing glasses, and this was all fantastic. I like that. And she sees Usopp on the poster, and there is a great gag that Usopp is just so excited that he's on this poster, despite being like a tiny minuscule part of it and facing the other way. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, then we also see, I have a list here, we see Kirby, of course, we see Accent Morgan, we see Captain Kuro, which was pretty crazy. I was not expecting to see his reaction. But that was actually really cool. I like that. And he's just like sitting there, like he's read it, like the thing is on the desk or whatever, but he's just sitting there like staring, you know, adjusting his glasses the way that he does it. So that was really cool. I was glad to see him again. We see it being hung up already at Zeph's restaurant. We see Lieutenant Fullbody kind of learning about it, and we see Luffy's hometown as well, like kind of reacting to it. And they talk about how like, oh, who knows, maybe a great pirate will come from this town one day. And I'm like, oh, that's like so cute. Because I'm sure he will be a great pirate one day, and the town will be so proud of him, and that was really cute. There was one notable exception, though, which is that we didn't get a reaction from Nami's village. Not that it really matters, like, we got enough of them already, but it is strange in that, like, I feel like we've got a reaction from basically everyone. I guess the other person we wouldn't have seen is that kid from that first episode or second episode or whatever that was giving fruit to Luffy, to Zoro. Like but they didn't really know Luffy that well. I don't know. It's like a whole thing, but who cares? You know, we already got a bunch of reactions and they're all great. But then we also get one more, which is that we finally get the scene that I've been waiting for, that I remember vaguely from the live action, the final scene in that, or not really the final scene, but like toward the end of that last episode, which is that we get Mihawk and Shanks meeting. And oh my goodness. Firstly, Mihawk is literally going around on that raft and with the two green candles and is floating around everywhere. It's very strange. I kind of like it. It kind of boosts his like navigation skills or whatever. The fact that he can like navigate that ship on his own and go wherever he wants from Baratier to find Shanks here. I don't know. It was kind of crazy, but also cool. But yeah, what we learn here is that Shanks and Mihawk have a certain like rivalry, or they have in the past at least that's the implication, right? Where Shanks is basically like, oh, you know, if you're here to fight me, like, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And Mihawk is like, you know, now that you've lost your arm, I don't want to fight you anymore. And it's like, oh my goodness, did they used to fight in the past? Like, how can Shanks like stand up to Mihawk? Like, Mihawk's the greatest swordsman in the world, which is crazy. To me, I think the most interesting thing here is that I'm not really getting a Zoro, Luffy, like Shanks, or like Mihawk Shanks kind of parallel there. Like, they feel like they both, like, these sets of characters, it feels like they should be paralleled, right? You got, like, the guy who looks like Luffy, who raised Luffy. Oh, I guess not, maybe raised him, but, like, is an inspiration for Luffy. And you've got the swordsman, like, crazy best swordsman in the world who has a relationship with the Luffy kind of guy. And you'd think that would be parallel to, like, Luffy and Zoro, right? But they're very different. Like, Mihawk is nothing like Zoro. Shanks is kind of a little bit like Luffy, like in that he is very like jovial and stuff sometimes, but he is a lot more like self-serious at a lot of times, where Luffy, we never see that unless it's specifically about his friends, right? So far, at least. So they feel like Luffy and basically these pairs of characters feel very different. And I was expecting more of a kind of parallel here. So I don't know, I guess we'll see where this goes. Now, obviously, in my opinion, I don't think we've established like a rivalry between Zoro and Luffy yet. I can't remember anything. I'm sure if it is a thing, it'll become much clearer as time goes on. If anything, there's a rivalry between like Sanji and Zoro for like Actually, is that even a rivalry? I feel like it's a one-way rivalry from Sanji about like Nami, and it really has nothing to do from Zoro's perspective. Like, I don't think Zoro was interested in Nami, so I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, basically, I was kind of surprised to see that like there weren't any clearer parallels than like their kind of roles in like being the leader of the pirates and looking like Luffy and being the greatest swordsman and like obviously being parallel to Zoro. Then yeah, it's nothing more than that. So yeah. The final thing to say is that Mihawk has a drink at the end of this with everyone. Like Shanks is like, we got to celebrate, you know, my adopted son. I don't know if that's his relationship, but whatever. Luffy's got a bounty, has achieved his dream so far. Well, let's celebrate. It was very cute. Mihawk's begrudgingly, but also acceptingly drinking, and I like it. Sounds great. Then we get to see some of Lieutenant Fullbody's ship. And there's a bunch of posters on the wall. Now, these were hard to decipher. Firstly, because my actual footage I'm watching on Crunchyroll is very low quality, so it was hard to read the actual text. But now that I'm thinking about it, I actually learned that the Netflix version of One Piece is like HD. So I'm gonna actually pause and quickly look at it, and then I'll update the names I wrote down for all these posters. So okay, never mind, because I went to see the Netflix version. It is HD, but there is literally no improvement in terms of readability, because some stuff is like blocked by legs and stuff. But anyway, we get Kuro, who's crossed out because obviously they think he's dead. We get Krieg, Arlong, Buggy, Alvida. Like, these are all stuff that, you know, is very common and I'm like very familiar with. But then we get a bunch of other ones, which are like hard to decipher, like I said, so I'm probably wrong about a bunch of these. But we get DR, interesting. We get something Oyaji, which means like dad or something. So I don't know what it is, like Dena, Bena, something like that. Bena Oyaji. We get something which I couldn't really decipher because it was cut off by like Fullbody's leg slightly, but it said something like Shadow Kit or something. I have no idea what it actually said though. We get something that also was very drastically cut off that said something like Surreal or something like that. We got Wild Joe and Golas. So I don't know, will we ever see these characters again? I have no idea. These are obviously smaller fry, like they're not as big as the Arlong and the Alvida and the Buggy and all that. Like they had the bigger bounties, whereas these guys just have like very little bounties. So we might not ever see them again, but you know, they exist. Their names are canon in the, at least for the anime. So that's kind of cool. Then we learn about Logtown, which is the name of the next arc, is what I'm aware of. And it's the city where Gold Roger was both born and executed, which is an interesting detail that both he was born there and executed there, right? It probably means, oh, I guess there's like a few things you could take from that, right? One thing is that maybe he was born there and then after like finding the One Piece and then hiding it or whatever, maybe he retired there or something and that's where the Marines found him. Or the idea could be that this is what I like. Actually, I like this idea more, which is that he was born there, and then to make a point, the Marines took him back there to be executed there, which I think is much crueler and much more interesting. So I hope that's what it is. But yeah, I'm excited to go here. Like, what a cool thing. Like, there's so many interesting situations that could happen there, or like people that Luffy could meet that maybe are still hanging around there that knew Gold Roger. Like, it's kind of interesting and cool, and I'm excited for it. There's also the possibility, or if this was to happen in real life, I imagine there would be a much larger marine presence there, right? This is probably a fertile ground for like setting up like pirates and finding their motivation to become a pirate. So I imagine the Marines probably have a very big presence there. So maybe we'll get some marine interactions there or something. We'll have to fight them or something, I'm not sure. But this is very exciting. I'm looking forward to this stuff. Another thing that happens in this episode is that we end the episode with a woman with red lipstick who smiles at Luffy's poster. And I'm like, okay, who the hell is this? My immediate thought was, oh my god, is this like Nico Robin? I know that's a character that I have to assume we'll meet somewhat soon, but maybe not. Maybe it's like a 300 episodes in thing. Like, obviously I know who she is. Like, well, I don't know who she is, but I've heard of her and I know her design and all that. She looks somewhat similar, but no, oh my goodness. We learn in, I think in the next episode, when she meets Buggy, she has the ship that looks exactly, well, not exactly, but very similar to Alvida's ship. So when I saw the ship, I was like, oh my god, it's Alvida. Alvida's here to randomly save like Buggy for some reason. And then we find out it's her. It's the skinny lady is Alvida. So I'm assuming she got very skinny, which is kind of crazy. I was absolutely shocked. Like my jaw was on the ground, not literally, but it was crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. She's like skinny. But then as time went on, I was like, wait, I feel like I knew this. And I'm fairly sure now that I've like spent, like, it's been like a few hours since I watched it. I'm fairly sure either I watched like a trailer for the live action and she was like skinny, she was in that and she was skinny, or someone has already shown me a scene where she was like skinny or something, like many years ago, maybe on stream or maybe just off stream. I have no idea. So I was very glad because in the moment I was utterly shocked and I was like, this is crazy. But also I think I am kind of spoiled on that, where I'm fairly sure that's Alvida, and I can't tell if it's because of my genius of just recognizing the ship and realizing it, like it has to be her, or maybe it's just like I literally got spoiled on this a while ago and I don't remember, but I don't know. It was interesting. Now there is also a chance that it's literally not her and maybe it is like a sister or like a cousin or something like that, because I went back and I looked at the first episode, which Alvida's in, and she is wearing a similar hat, but her outfit is quite different. It's not like a one-to-one kind of like, oh, they made like she's wearing the same outfit or anything like that. So it could just be like a slightly different thing. She obviously doesn't have a crew anymore, at least not that we've seen. So I don't know what's going on. Her ship is different. Like, it's not the exact same ship. It is oh, it's a gag. I just figured it out. It's a slimmed down ship, just like she is slimmed down. Okay, it's definitely Alvida. I feel like that's absolutely the joke there. That's like the most One Piece joke in the world. Okay, never mind. It's her. Like, I can't believe I just figured that out. That's obviously what it is. That's why the ship is smaller. Because the whole time I'm thinking, like, I went back to episode 1. I was like, why is the ship so different? Like, why it's so much bigger and fatter? And I'm like, okay, obviously she is bigger and fatter. Oh my goodness. Okay, I figured it out. Genius. It definitely is her, 100%. Okay. And if it's not her, that'd be crazy. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, that's my main notes for the main stuff. I have two miscellaneous notes for the main, like, Straw Hat kind of stuff, which is, one, Zoro cuts a cannonball in half, which is cool power scaling stuff, but also separately is, like, potentially the best animated sequence in the show so far. It's not much, like, crazy animation, or it's not, like, a long sequence or, like, really intense, like, movement or anything like that. But the ship, like, it's like the camera, like, moves with the ship, and the ship is, like, being fully animated in, like, 2D, and Zoro's, like, it's crazy. I couldn't believe it. Maybe I'll put it on screen right now if I remember, but yeah, that was kind of crazy. And then also, there's this like little subplot with this hermit crab that they find on the ship. And then I can't remember who it is. One of the Straw Hats, maybe an army or something, implies that, or says, I think outright, that, oh, they probably got on the ship when we're in Usopp's town, or they've been with us for the whole journey, basically. And at the end of this episode, or maybe the next episode, the hermit crab falls off the ship. And it's like, oh, usually this would be like an ominous kind of reading, right? Of like, oh, things like something that's been here since the beginning is going to be lost. Like one of our crew is going to die, or like, and we're going to lose our way, or something like that. Like it's a sad, like crazy thing that this hermit crab, who was with us the whole time, is now gone. But I feel like it might just be a thing of like, oh, we finished our first journey, now we're beginning our next journey, or something like that. Like this is all wrapped up now, the hermit crab has fallen off, now we're going to pick up more hermit crabs for the future. I feel like that's probably more so where this is going, purely because I know none of these crew members are going to go. Like these are all the like Sanji and Zoro and Nami and Usopp, these are the core members, right? Like I've seen a movie from who knows when the movie, actually actually don't know, maybe the movie already has happened already at this point, the Clockwork Island Adventure one, but yeah, we already, like, they're not going to go anywhere, so I don't know, who knows. But that was my other miscellaneous note. The other stuff I have is on Buggy. I don't have anything to say about this. He gets eaten by a bird. He meets the guy who was stuck in a chest. Crazy. We love that guy. I love whenever he shows up. And then he reunites with his crew. And that's like his whole story. So I don't really have anything to say. There is also, talking about good animation, by the way, it's like another miscellaneous note for the Buggy section. They also do their best like choreography that we've had so far in the entire show, and like best like fighting animation. They spend it on this like random like two crew members, not random, but like these two crew members of Buggy like fighting each other, the beast guy and the unicycle guy, and they're just fighting this crazy like actual choreography and the punches and stuff, and I'm like, this is crazy, why are they doing this? And so that was kind of cool. I don't know, that was very funny. And then my final note about just the Buggy stuff is that we get this very funny scene, which is Alvida and Buggy, I think they have like this drink, these like bottles, and they go to like clash the bottles together, and they each have like half a heart. When you put the bottles together, they like make a full heart. Like that was super cute, so I like that a lot. That was great. But that's it, that's all my notes, believe it or not. The only other thing I want to talk about is next time, which is, oh my goodness, like I said before, I can't believe I learned that the episodes are on HD on Netflix. So I will probably be watching on Netflix next time instead of Crunchyroll. Because my goodness, the footage on Crunchyroll is very low quality, but I just assumed that was the way it was. Like there was no better version, but yeah, so we'll see. Maybe I'll watch it on Netflix, but maybe not, because Netflix is a bit like laggier than like Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll's very smooth and I like that. We'll see. The other thing is that Miller, like I said at the beginning of this, Miller the Killer, he messaged me a bunch of information about like the upcoming stuff in terms of like filler and basically what is in the manga and what's not and all that. And he basically, the takeaway was, the thing that I took away from it is that he said that there's basically very little One Piece filler. It's like 90 episodes or something like that in total. And basically what I'm going to be doing is I think I'll just watch the filler. Like I'm just going to watch everything. We'll see. I'll try it. Like maybe I'll watch a filler arc and I'll be so bored that I'll be like, okay, maybe I'm just going to skip this. But for now, my plan is going forward, I'm probably just going to watch going forward, like everything, like all the episodes. There's nothing, unless it's like a recap episode, then I can skip it, I guess. But filler stuff I'll probably watch, but we'll see. But yeah, that's it. I'm excited. This was only 3 episodes and basically hit 1 episode that I spent like the majority of this talking about. So I'm looking forward to the future of One Piece. Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.